All right. All right. We are working on. This blog post for the Fully Charged Live North America event that took place in Austin, Texas earlier this year. I have a start, and at the end of yesterday, I was able to get a structure kind of planned out. And so this is what it's going to look like. Kind of started off a really brief explanation of what Fully Charged is. And then kind of go right into which companies were there, what I think I kind of mentioned some of the cars, and then what I ended up doing yesterday. This will probably go away. So what I ended up doing yesterday is started mentioning some of the breakout sessions, but I didn't want to just kind of name them. I think I'm going to explain in like their own little paragraphs what each of these was about, and I could pick some other ones because I have the whole program here. But I think I'm going to take the opportunity to kind of like explain who Chelsea Sexton is or who Leilani Munter is, and give them kind of a spotlight for just a paragraph or so. And then I do want to mention the test drives that I did. I don't really have to get into like the full nitty-gritty details, even though I probably could. I think that'd be a little bit much to include all of that in this post. Yes, I do remember. Welcome back. Did you change your username? So then, yeah, and then this, I don't think, I mean, I think I can scatter this throughout. There was kind of a paragraph that I might include in this. I did not hear about Grand Theft Auto 5 for free on Epic Games. We could take a look right now. So I don't know if you were here the, last time, but I started a new blog post and I actually have some stuff down for it. I don't know how far we'll get today, but hey, why did I get a gateway timeout? Alright, well, something's happening with my deal. Oh, maybe everyone's trying to download Grand Theft Auto 5. I think I'm gonna have to up my internet anyway, but that's what I thought was happening. Alright, so Yeah, I'll try to download that game later. And see if I can. It's kind of crazy actually. They're Warzone, Blizzard Games has offered Warzone for free. I'm not sure why Grand Theft Auto 5 they would offer for free. To be honest, I bought the game a long time ago for Xbox. But I haven't really played it. So I don't know, maybe there's a mode or there's a gameplay in Grand Theft Auto that they want people to try out to maybe possibly buy. I don't know. Or there's in-game purchases that they can make them a lot of money off of, so they can just offer it for free. Alright, so I wanted to... Let me do what I typically do. I just kind of start from the top and just go along, read, and see how it sounds. So, Fully Charged Live, North America. I might change that to like Austin, Texas or something. For the first time ever, Fully Charged has brought its live show to North America. Even better, the show was hosted in Austin, Texas. Wait, hold up. Why all the hype? What even is Fully Charged? An auto show, expo, convention? Luckily, having been in attendance, I can give all the insights of what exactly went down at the Circuit of Americas during Super Bowl weekend 2020. For starters, Fully Charged, a UK YouTube channel founded by Robert Llewellyn, takes a dive into renewable energy markets, electric transport, and primarily covers everything related to electric vehicles. You can find videos, blog posts, and what else can you find? Fully Charged. They have a whole website. They've got like, look, they've got a website, fullycharged.show. Oh, never mind. This is the same website. And podcasts. Covering all of these topics. Website, videos, blog posts, and podcasts covering all of these topics can be found. The show has hosted a few live events, but until this year, the events had only taken place in the UK. It should be evident. It should be extremely evident. It should be evident why I was excited to attend and why I'm excited to share my experience. That might change because I don't know if I'm sharing my experience. I'm just kind of explaining what it was, what went down. But we'll see. We'll see as it progresses. With over 4,000 plus attendees, it was evident. I kind of want to change that word because I used it right there. It was... I'll change this one. It should be clear why I was excited to attend and why I am excited to share my experience. All right. With over 4,000 attendees, it was evident that there is a lot of interest for electric vehicles and renewable energy markets in Texas. Capturing this audience immediately, Rivian Automotive was in attendance with their 2 electric trucks on display. the trucks they are developing are further into the event, an expo filled with solar companies, energy storage, power utility providers, and other various renewable companies displaying their products and services grab the attention for event wanderers. It almost seems like a run-on sentence. With impressive new vehicles on the market, Porsche. Let me. With over 4,000 plus attendees, it was evident that there's a lot of interest for electric vehicles and renewable energy markets. Capturing this audience, at the front of the event, Rivian Automotive was in attendance with their 2 electric trucks on display. I'm gonna just name them just for the R1T. These are really nice vehicles. They looked really cool too. If I made more money, would definitely look into getting one. The truck. Not that I'm a truck person, but they're just really nice. I think I could fit in a little bit better in Texas with a truck, an electric truck. That would stand out. Further into the event, an expo filled Oh wow. So now you stay on Twitch. That seems I mean, I don't think they've canceled the United States is all different. They haven't canceled school across the board. All the states do their own thing. And there's not really a whole lot of direction from the president, like a unified plan of action. But I don't think they've canceled school in Texas yet. I'm pretty sure they've canceled it in some states. Like Illinois, I think they're done for the school year. The school year, yeah. At least that's how you would say it here. And I think you might want to call it high school. I don't know if you're in high school, if you're in college. Like I know in Spanish, high school, you would call it secundaria, like secondary school. And that would be high school. But then after high school is like post-secondary, so it's either college or I mean, I guess you could be getting an associate's, or you could just be doing several other things like working for a trade or anyway. So I don't know if brand school is, you're trying to say high school, but yes, high school. Oh, okay. No worries. You're learning English, so I just wanted to make sure I understood. Oh, nice. Well, congrats. Good luck in high school. Man, that's such a rough start for it to be canceled. That's different. I remember, I think my freshman year of college, I went to school in Indiana, which is a state up north in the United States, which is where I grew up. But we never had snow days. It had been like 30 years since they canceled classes because of snow. And my freshman year, they did it twice, and we were excited about that. So, I can't imagine the entire, or I guess, yeah, the entire school year being canceled. It's got to be difficult for your parents or even you. Just like, I don't know, what would you do with your time? I don't know what I would do at high school. I'd probably play basketball or something with friends down the street, but then you can't really do social things, so I'd just be playing video games. Alright, so the R1T truck and the R1S SFU. Further into the event, an expo filled the main hall with solar companies, energy storage solutions, ooh, that sounds like a fancy word, power utility providers, and other various renewable companies displaying their products and services. I think I'm going to get rid of this part. Ah, okay, nice. What kind of games do you play? E-lessons, I think it would be difficult to do that. I just think that'd be so difficult. So my mom's an ESL teacher, English as a second language. Hey, maybe she could help you with your English. She works for the school district in Illinois, but her work has been cut down because she's like, I don't know, she can't pull kids out of class as much to kind of give them their English lessons, but she has to do Assassin's Creed. How's that? You like it? I mean, now that I'm in, like, I spend more time at home, I'm playing more video games, but I've just been mostly playing Modern Warfare. But I have two different Assassin's Creed games. I can't remember which ones they are, but I haven't really gotten into them much. I play a lot of Ori and the Will of the Wisps. And then Modern Warfare with my friends, but I'm not very good at probably either of those games. Alright, so further into event, an expo filled the main hall with solar companies, energy storage solutions, power utility providers, and other various renewable companies displaying their products and services. I like it like that. AC Brotherhood. I check that out. With impressive new vehicles on the market, Porsche Taycan. Wonder if that's got, look at this truck. I really like this. I'm just gonna buy it and then live in it until I can pay it off. Porsche. I think I spelled Porsche wrong there. Porsche Taycan. I did spell. So another thing I want to do is I want to add photos underneath this, like a slideshow, like underneath, well, underneath this paragraph. Because I did take a good amount of pictures where I can just have like, it'll just be like one block here. Let's see if I can find that. It wouldn't be image, it'd be gallery. And then I would have to find I'm gonna do this kind of behind the scenes. Because I don't want everyone seeing my photos. Where is... I did this in February. I think I could just upload these directly from... I thought I could upload them from... Oh, you know what? I have to do it a different way. Alright, I'll worry about that later, but... I do want to add a gallery. Right. Right underneath that specific paragraph, so it'd just be like a slideshow and you can just click through and I'm pretty sure I have a picture of this Harley Davidson. Let's see, the Porsche. And I have pictures of the Porsche, which it's really nice. And look at this. I will never buy this car. I mean, I'm sure it's nice, but I'm sure like the Model S, which is like a $80,000 car, I think, is just as good as... I mean, it looks just as good and it performs probably better. I don't know which one they had on display. How do I find out? Icon. Taycan. I'm guessing... I don't know if they had the turbo. It was this color. I'll just put... With impressive new... Their new whips. Showed off their new... Okay. I'm gonna capitalize that. Actually, yeah, alright. And the 2020 Livewire motorcycle. I think I looked this up last time. Harley Davidson Electric. It's a cool motorcycle. I think if I have a moped, I don't have a motorcycle's license. That's what you need here in the US. How much does this cost? 30,000? I'd probably look at getting this if I had a motorcycle's license, or if I knew how to ride motorcycles. That doesn't seem terrible. Let's see what their other stuff costs. Oh, yeah, no, that is terrible for a motorcycle. It costs like under 10,000. Okay, well. Hopefully people are buying that, because that's hella expensive. Alright, let's see what else we got. Alright, so those paragraphs actually seem alright to me. It's going right into the meat of the event. Live breakout sessions occupied the entire weekend with various topics such as Alright, I'm not going to do it that way. Live breakout sessions occupied the entire week over various topics. Covering various topics. To attend them. Alright, well thanks for stopping by, no worries. Go charge up your phone and oh, maybe next time I'll after this stream I'm gonna figure out this Grand Theft Auto 5. Thanks for heads up on that, but yeah, come back. I appreciate the company, and well, good luck with your e-classes. Take care. So live breakout sessions occupied the entire weekend covering various topics. To attend them all. With over attending them all was an impossible feat. Let's see what else I've got. Okay. Save draft on that. Might get a lot written here today. I started a little earlier. All right. I think I'm gonna put this one in the middle. I think I want to start with Leilani Munter. All right. Let's go to YouTube. Fully charged plastic. Actually, Let's see what they got here. Videos. Not sure if I want to rewatch.
Podcast, because this is the
podcast.
Understanding is so
here we go.
bad about this just because
live from Fully Charged in Texas. Y'all enjoy.
Obviously, there's a bit of chatting about recyclability before. It's an ongoing topic in all things EVs. They are recycled, they aren't recycled, they'll be used again first before they're recycled. We can recapture elements that are worth financial money or not. What is the reality about the recycling process toward the end of useful life in electric cars today?
So I've had a couple of you visit us at booth 304 at American Manganese. So we've developed a patented process that doesn't involve smelting the battery down into a black slag and not recovering high quality material. We use a leaching process that recovers lithium, nickel, manganese, cobalt, and aluminum. And our focus really is on the, I've had a lot of you tell me, the EV is going to last another 10, 15 years, and then it's going to go into reuse, and those are all fair arguments. But if you think at the battery manufacturing level, when they're making this material, a lot of that goes into manufacturing waste, which is what we're calling cathode scrap. And it's still very valuable. And it's what we're sourcing and recovering the material with. This is kind of like the low-hanging fruit. And you can come by our booth and as well and see some of this material. But if you want to imagine it as like if you're doing some woodwork and you have shavings and trimmings and whatnot, but the material is actually very valuable, and this is what we're recovering and at high purity, and this is what we want to be used directly back into the manufacturing process.
How far
to make
ahead are
new
they?
Batteries and promote a circular economy.
So my name is Hans-Erik Mellin. I work as a consultant in the end-of-life space of lithium-ion batteries. So I basically follow all the batteries around the world. When they are placed on the market, when they reach end of life, what will happen with them? Will they be recycled or reused? And the truth is that we do recycle batteries. We have been recycled lithium-ion batteries for more than 10, even 20 years. Most of the lithium-ion batteries are obviously not in your cars. They are still in your phones, in your laptops, and others, and they've been recycled for a long time. And a fun anecdote is, in fact, I don't know whether you know that, but the first patent for battery recycling, for lithium-ion batteries recycling, was already filed in 1993 here in Austin by Valence. So, I mean, there's a long story, but you have basically all of you recycled materials in your phones or in your laptops, and many of you in your electric cars as well. In particularly in China, where 2/3 of the battery materials are made today, recycled materials is huge, and it's a very important component in it, and it has been for a long time. I think the biggest problem in our perception of battery recycling is really that, first of all, it's one pillar of that is used in the dark side of the EV, that it should be so hard to recycle the batteries, which is not. So it's really our understanding is so bad about this just because we are not recycled so much batteries right here in the US, neither in Europe, but that is because most of the batteries, all the materials are exported and they are recycled elsewhere. So it's not really anything to be worried about in that sense. We definitely recycle more than 50% of the lithium-ion batteries that are placed on the market today.
My name is Nicolas Tremblay. I'm with Nouveau Monde Graphite. I'm not going to tell you much about recycling. I think that the previous panelists did a good job. What I'm eager to tell you, though, is what we're doing in terms of sustainability. But for now, I will pass the word to my other colleagues here.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Mark Kohler with Lithium Works. From a battery manufacturer's point of view, we're obviously interested in the full recycling process. But from a design point of view, we can do some things that really help us with the reuse point of view. That after your initial use of why you bought the battery in the first place, to reuse the battery for its second life. And from a battery's point of view,
Who towed the electric? All right. I'm just trying to write a blurb here.
Welcome to a really special episode of Fully Charged. Now, some of you will have heard, if not seen, a 2006 documentary called Who Killed the Electric Car. If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. You have to pay to watch it, but it's worth it. It's really brilliant. Anyway, it tells the story of the battle between the Californian Air Resource Board and the giant car and oil companies back in the 1990s. One of the side effects of this bitter dispute was the creation of what is arguably the first 100% electric production car, the General Motors EV1. And someone who was very, very involved in the launch and the maintenance and the customer relations for this car, and who appears in the documentary Who Killed the Electric Car, is of course our very own Chelsea Sexton. So this isn't Who Killed the Electric Car, this is Who Towed the Electric Car.
Welcome to Fully Charged Adventure Edition. Today we're in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're getting ready to road trip to Austin, Texas for the very first Fully Charged Live North America, and we are doing it in an EV1, or with an EV1. We'll have to tow it. I am sitting here with Doug Juke from the Oklahoma Electric Vehicle Association, and it is entirely your fault that we get to bring this precious baby with us.
That's right. I'm not sure what I was thinking at the time. We're going to hit the road and get it down there Friday, so by Saturday morning we'll be all ready to show it off to the audience.
Absolutely, I cannot wait.
The EV1 is really, I think, what started mass interest in electrification, and it could be considered the first modern era electric vehicle.
It absolutely is, for sure.
And you know, I think that we in the EV community see it as the grandfather of electrification, and I think we have to acknowledge that we are standing on the shoulders of everything that you did in bringing the EV1 to market.
And many others.
And many others as well. And now we're racing into the future and looking to get electrification into the hands of the masses.
Right. This EV1 was obviously one of the very first programs I cut my electric car teeth on, and this particular car is even one that I leased to a guy in Los Angeles over 22 years ago in December '97. It is very cool, and I thought I'd point out some of the fun features about it, some of which have been pulled over to other electric cars since, and some that are still remain unique to this car. So it was one of the only cars designed entirely in a wind tunnel with very little customer input, which is why it is as aerodynamic as it is, very teardrop shape. The rear wheels are 9 inches closer together than the front ones. It has, you can tell the battery pack's been removed, but it would normally have about 1,175 pound battery pack in it. But the wheels and tires were also made specially for this car. Aluminum, magnesium, alloy squeeze cast wheels, 8 pounds for the total wheel, and specially made tires by Michelin that they did just for this car. One of the first iterations on EVs for self-sealing tires. And in theory, they were supposed to be self-sealing up to 1/2 inch, but we were very generous in the warranty and we defined 1/2 inch as this big.
So when you guys were doing your testing, did you throw any steel balls at the window?
We did not throw steel balls at the
Okay,
window.
please
We
don't do that.
tested them in all kinds of ways, but
Yeah, I don't think these windows would hold up to that, right? Yeah.
no, especially this one because this is a heated windshield with a film in it, electric defroster.
What?
Yeah. So
Explain that.
well, we didn't, from an efficiency standpoint, we didn't want to use the usual forced air defroster.
Right.
So we had an electric heated windshield, a little bit like normal
Wow.
defrosters without all the lines. And so this is a very special windshield that is in this car.
Wow, okay, I didn't know
And
that.
very special roof because the radio antenna is built into the roof. There's no normal
All right.
antenna.
So you're saying it's basically like an invisible defroster?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
The trunk is a pretty normal trunk. The funny thing about it is very narrow and very deep. Its actual design intent was to fit 2 sets of golf clubs because, you know, retired GM executives in Florida. I have also previously proven that it can fit at least 2 people. We have the lovely Citroen-inspired wheel skirts, and again, back end, very aerodynamic and close together. And then up front, it looks very much like things you would see in a normal electric car now, but pioneering at the time. This is the power electronics module, obviously the inverter from AC to DC from charging to storage DC in the battery, back for the AC motor below. The motor is still down there. It's a little hard to see from here, covered by the power electronics, which today would be about 1/3 of this size. But the motor underneath is a 102 kilowatt motor, 137 horsepower. This thing actually drove quite nicely. I used to replace my tires every 5,000 miles, completely my fault due to my right foot. Otherwise, they'd last around 20. But the motor's about the size of a watermelon. It's the analogy we used. Otherwise, normal fluids, radiator, because even back then it was liquid cooled, and inductive charge port up front. But at the time it was pioneering because there was no metal to metal contact, and it was intended to be safer, or at least convince the public it was safer, to not have that so you could charge in the rain and have your kids charge it and all of those things back in a time when people were a little more nervous about new technology. So it remains very pioneering in a lot of ways. It had brake-by-wire, steer-by-wire, first automotive use of a heat pump, all kinds of cool little features that continue today, but were very forward-thinking back then. And then last but not least, we had, hopefully normal people never really had to use it, but for service purposes, we had the manual disconnect back here. It's been removed because the whole battery pack has been removed. I'm gonna find someone to put this thing
Well, I haven't been to a gas station since September of 2013. So that's a nice benefit. I'm saving a lot of money on fuel, and I have solar panels on the roof of my home. So whenever I'm charging at my house, I'm actually, you know, getting free power from the sun. Range anxiety does not exist. That's the first question that I always get asked when I tell people I have an electric car. They're always like, "Oh, have you ever run out of battery and been stranded on the side of the road?" And I'm always like, "No, do you frequently run out of gas?" And, this is using an AC induction motor that was invented by Nikola Tesla. And so because it's so simple and because there's not much to brake, you know, I don't have maintenance. I don't have a timing belt to brake. I don't have an internal combustion engine. This gives me all the speed that I want. The handling is fantastic. It has the lowest center of gravity of any sedan on the road because most of the weight is in the battery pack, which is the floor of the vehicle. So it handles really, really well. And it's a sexy car. You know, it's a beautiful car. Every time I park it, you know, I admit, I turn around and look back at my car and just admire her lines.
Damn. Oh, that's the whole thing. What was the other one I saw?
My name is Leilani Munter, and my slogan is never underestimate a vegan hippie chick with a race car. You know, when I first started speaking out about the environment, a vegan hippie, and my slogan is never underestimate a vegan hippie chick with a race car. You know, when I first started speaking out about the environment, it was in 2006. My goal was to kind of live a carbon-free lifestyle and to offset whatever it was that I did put into the atmosphere. And I knew it was going to ruffle some feathers, and I definitely, you know, got calls from people in marketing saying you need to shut up about this stuff. You just need to drive the race car, plug your sponsors, and you need to be quiet about all this stuff that you're saying about oil and climate change.
I think that the renewable energy industry needs a face, needs a messenger that people can identify, with this issue. And I think she's the best possible, messenger out there because of her ability to reach all audiences.
Starting 16, driving car number 66, the Prairie Gold Solar Toyota from Rochester, Minnesota, Leilani Munford.
With Leilani Munford, you are getting in on the ground floor of a great American story. She is a passionate and dynamic woman who really believes in the concept of getting the country to 100% renewable energy by 2050.
This is the first time that I've gotten to my race oil-free. 1,073 miles total. This is it. This is our first leg of the trip on the Evolution Highway. Are you guys ready? And I kind of advertised where I was going to be, at what supercharger, at what time, at what day. So I had a lot of people coming out to meet me and talk about electric cars.
I'm Christopher.
We're a big fan of everything that she's doing for the environment and all the attention that she's calling to the importance of solar and going electric.
We've been here since 5 o'clock.
They're telling us how much fun they have.
That's one of the reasons I wanted to do this trip, is to show people, there's a supercharger network out there. And I think that's very patriotic. And I think the NASCAR fans will embrace that kind of messaging.
Leilani has an ability to reach, the heartland of America, 10 million NASCAR fans who normally maybe would not quite be prepared for this message. And that is a message that resonates with every American.
She's like the Leilani Appleseed of renewable energy. And she's been going around and planting these seeds of hope and seeds of a future that's different than the one they're living in now. And it's more promising.
And for some reason, I think people respond well when the message is coming from somebody that they least expect it from. It's an unusual combination. People think race car driver, clean energy, wait, what? I get their attention with the race car, and then when I have their time, I talk to them about the things that I think are the most important things to talk about right now, which is the environmental issues that we're facing.
Look, these are tough times and people have to be careful with their budgets. So, we need to make people aware that these other forms of, renewable power are more accessible now than they've ever been because of the dramatic cost declines.
But doing it in a way that relies on cost competitiveness. And I'll tell you, beating oil is very, very difficult to do. Even the Tesla, which is a magnificent vehicle, but the average person can't afford it. And a big part of that is the battery. So if we can identify through materials science a better way to build a battery that makes those batteries 1/5 the cost they are today, then we believe we'll succeed in competing with the internal combustion engine. Right now we rely on importing almost 50% of our energy from outside the shores of the United States. So the thing that she's doing is drawing attention to how good the technology already is and how good it could be and how important it is to society to get off the fossil fuels.
I think people are interested in being free from, foreign oil.
And I think people are pretty fed up with it.
Mark Ruffalo.
It costs us a lot in treasure. It costs us even more in life.
We cannot continue to spend $1 billion a day on
Chicago.
foreign oil just to get around the country. There's nothing that I can do about the fuel that I have to burn in my race car. It's part of my job, and that's why I've adopted an acre of rainforest every time I drive the race car. And liking fast cars and caring about the environment are not mutually exclusive events. And it was always hard for me that something that I loved to do so much was bad for the environment. And I didn't realize how guilty I felt about it until I was free of it. And then I realized how emotional I was about it, but it was because I had always been carrying that guilt. And I didn't realize it was there until it was gone. The race car is a billboard for me to send messages about how we can adapt and change the way that we're living. But when I have a company on my car, it's something that I truly, strongly believe in. And so it's much deeper than just like a logo on my car.
There's a solar revolution taking place, just dramatic change that's happened more quickly than anybody could have imagined.
And they're burning diesel fuel or gasoline. All the pits is filled with all this exhaust. And so this is quiet.
Is she from Chicago?
And just talking to some of the crew chiefs yesterday, they were like, I'd love to have that because now I can hear myself talk. I can carry it around with me. I don't have to worry about where plugs are, and I don't have to run extension cords. And plus, I don't have to worry about fueling up my generators. You know, the sun's free.
Over the past 4 or 5 years, there has been a seismic shift in how solar is perceived and financed.
And does it make business sense? Are we going to power ourselves with a source of energy that's actually good for business? And the answer is absolutely yes.
Renewable energy in electric cars is not just for tree huggers anymore. It's for race car drivers. It's for everyone.
It's just, when that car comes around the corner and it's just flying, you can't even move your head as fast as it goes by you. It's pretty powerful stuff. Yeah.
All right. I gotta write stuff about her. I don't have to write a lot. Over 30. Attending them all was impossible. 8. My other pair. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Leilani Munter. I think here. I put special characters. Alt keyboard sequences. I want the U with the 2 dots over it. Right there. Alt 0. Yeah, buddy. Saving that. Pretty helpful too. All right, let's see. They don't have it there. Yeah, they have it there though. Cool. Janice. Janice, book out. Where's Janice book out? Earth Day. Presented the live Really? Race car is 2 words? She's a former race car driver. Vegan professional race car driver. Race car driver. I guess it is 2 words. That is crap. I will not stand for this. Alright, let's see if this sentence is just way too much. That's 1 sentence right there. With over 30... Oh no, that's not 1 sentence. I lied. Here's the one. Leilani Munter, a vegan professional race car driver, along with Earth Day Austin. Here it says Secretary Treasurer. Maybe that's... Let me just do this. Tetra Treasurer. Janice Bookout presented the live session. Plastic pollution, circular economy, hyperconsumerism, and veganism. At the Giga Theater in the main hall. All right, that might work. Let me put the music back on. This is my thinking juice. All right. The reason why I have this here is because that was a slogan that she had.
Slogan is never underestimate a vegan hippie chick with a race car.
A vegan hippie chick with a race car. I'm gonna somehow slip that slogan into this paragraph, so just bear with me. Leilani Munter, a vegan professional race car driver. panel addressed let me change the way this sends the structure. At the Giga Theater in the main hall, Lonnie Munter, vegan professional race car driver, along and leader, and extra treasurer Janice Bookout presented the live session. Presented a live. Panel addressed a few while engaging for 100% renewable energy production. I'll work on that one. All right, where is this one? Texas versus California. Where are you? Ah. I don't need a period there if the question mark. We'll find out in a bit. I do, since it's part of the title that I'm quoting. I don't know. All right. Let's see. There we go. I'm trying to find the first time that I used the term electric vehicles. I'm just gonna do that so that going forward everyone just knows what the hell an EV is. I don't think it'd be like, I don't think it'd be too confusing, but just to make sure, it's a simple little thing that let's go, oh, okay, that's what an EV is. Not everyone reading this is gonna I'm not gonna know maybe what an EV is. Maybe they haven't heard of one. They've got references to R1T, the R1S from Rivian. Got a motorcycle, Livewire 2020 Harley Davidson. Like, wow, way more EVs than I realized. Damn right. I'm here for. Alright. Kick off a weekend-long event. EV enthusiast and advocate Chelsea Sexton. Do I need a comma here? Chelsea Sexton headlined Texas versus California, who will be the clean energy champions. Wonder if this one's on. Texas versus California. Who will be the clean energy champions? I mean, this isn't the panel, but it's Chelsea Sexton talking about Texas. It is not Houston. Mr. Rogers.
If Texas was a nation, it would be one of the biggest wind energy providers in the world. But leaders like Austin Energy have been working to integrate solar, batteries, and electric vehicles too. Ahead of the Texas versus California session we're hosting at the very first American Fully Charged Live next month, this native Californian went to see how Texas is giving us a run for our money on all of these topics. For a sneak peek of the 30 live sessions, who and what to come see at Fully Charged Live, stay tuned to the end of this episode.
What has enabled the last 30 or whatever, 30, 40 years of wind growth in Texas that hasn't happened elsewhere?
Well, it's a fascinating story, and there are books written about it, right, by colleagues of mine. And so it starts out with, I mean, years ago, wind-powered pumps to bring water up for feeding cattle, for example. So we've had, it's a fascinating story.
Stay tuned to the end of this episode.
Sorry. I need to go back and listen to what she said there. I think she says something about Texas being the leader of wind. I want to make sure I get that right.
What has enabled the last 30 or whatever, 30, 40 years of wind growth in Texas that hasn't happened elsewhere?
Well, it's a fascinating story, and there are books written about it, right, by colleagues of mine. And so it starts out with, years ago, wind-powered pumps to bring water up for feeding cattle, for example. So we've had this wind resource.
Right.
And when the technology progressed, so the Europeans, I think, really pushed that, then the opportunities started becoming more apparent. And there were a number of factors that came into play. West Texas, if you go out there, there's a lot of great wind. And so the technology got better. Federal policy on the production tax credit helped also improve the economics. Also, we have private ownership, okay? And Texas was a country before it was a state. And so basically the state or private ownership is the dominant. So there aren't that many locations in Texas that are owned by the federal government and off limits.
Very little public land. Like 90% of land here is privately owned.
And so the lands that the federal government does own were either gifted, say, Big Bend National Park or the military Fort Hood. Okay, so that private ownership helped too, because once people started realizing that the lessons they learned and the money they could gain from oil and gas, those lessons could be applied to wind. And folks started realizing, well, if I'm a rancher and I'm having a tough time because of the drought and my crops are not doing well, but I can get, say, $10,000 per wind turbine per year royalty.
Right.
That can keep those folks in their ranches. That can be multi-generational wealth. And it's unlike, say, a coal plant where however they get the land, it's there and that's it. It's spreading the wealth. It's democratizing the wealth.
Right.
And the other aspect of gaining support in what you might consider very conservative areas is once you get a tax base, then all of a sudden you have new libraries, you have police cars, you have city halls, you have football stadiums in West Texas.
Yes.
Right? And it creates jobs. Yeah. And so young people don't necessarily have to go to the big Texas cities. They can actually be there.
Right.
So economic vitality. And so once it became apparent that the technology was viable and it was economic.
Yeah.
And multiple levels of contributions to bringing the whole story together, it just fit, and then it just took off.
Right. We were at Pecan Street yesterday and talking to them a little bit about vehicle to grid because they're doing some research on that topic. And yet, from my sense, vehicle to grid is like the thing we've been hearing about, the promise of the last 15 or 20 years since Willett Kempton started talking about it in Delaware. But it has really seemed to me, especially from a utility perspective, that where it's been going is much more vehicle to home or building maybe, but not past the meter, and increasingly more recreationally to the extent any automaker is willing to consider that. From your standpoint, dealing with the regulators and the utilities and sort of that level of things, how optimistic should we be about net metering for cars the same way we do for solar?
So it's regionally specific, right? If you're in Hawaii and you have 35 cents a kilowatt hour electricity versus our 10 or 11 cents, right? And you have more and more renewables creating some variability on the grid, there could be a value proposition that works there that doesn't work here.
But Georgia with 4 cents a kilowatt hour power.
So just like anything else in the grid, or regionally, we're different than Hawaii, we're different than California. Your energy use is different just because of our environment. We need more air conditioning here, right? And our prices are different, so the economics are different, our markets are different. So take those places that it makes sense and apply it there. And we probably won't see V to G be economic because it may be just simply be more economic to put some more wind or solar on the grid than trying to put it into a battery and pull it out. When you do the turnaround cost, losing say 15% from the turnaround inefficiency in and out of a battery, trying to coordinate with an aggregator into the vehicle, coordinating with the grid. So energy is inexpensive, and inexpensive does not lead to all these sophisticated techniques necessarily, but these other regions, yes. Or in emerging markets, for example, it could be a microgrid. So maybe it's not vehicle to home, it's vehicle to premise. So a village, okay, imagine a village using PV, inexpensive LED lights, and a plug-in hybrid that can do vehicle to premise and be the hub for their village microgrid.
Right.
Absolutely can see that. So the two-way power flow, I see a lot of promise, but it's regionally specific, application specific.
Yeah, and it's not I mean, from a technological perspective, we've always kind of seen the promise. And yes, that sounds lovely on paper, but it does seem to be an economic challenge, both in making it make sense and whatever redevelopment of utility back offices and things that are required. And the appetite hasn't seemed there so far. But it also seems that you don't have to go past the meter to make it worth it to many from a retail perspective. And what I mean by that is those that would like it from a recreational standpoint. In California, ever since the fires and the power shutdowns there, or even earthquakes, storms on the East Coast, the notion of being able to use your car to power your house for a few days like they have in Japan is wildly attractive to certain swaths of the country, even if the cost is more than a gasoline generator.
You're paying for resiliency versus trying to arbitrage the energy price.
And some psychology too, because arguably you could probably get a cheaper petrol generator, but you want the clean power, you want the quiet, and there's other layers to it that drives you towards perhaps not just only the cheapest option as the only consideration.
So I've done modeling on that for my PhD dissertation on electrical engineering, vehicle to home.
Because you have 4 degrees.
But and it was fascinating. I took Pecan Street home data because they had it instrumented. So for an entire year, minute by minute data, 20 homes there, and I modeled 4 vehicles, say a Prius Prime, a Volt, a Leaf battery, and a big Tesla battery.
So 2 plug-in hybrids, 2 EVs.
Exactly, big battery, small battery, etc. And it was amazing how a vehicle home microgrid could back up a home. And instead of your PV shutting down when the grid, it would be able to keep up generating.
We have a very progressive community. They're very forward-looking. Innovation is part of our DNA, and we really care about our citizens. And so doing things that make sense for our community, solving real problems for real people, and using technology and innovation to do that are really important. We look at the electric vehicle space, going back to those plug-in partner days. The fact that the general manager of Austin Energy at that time went to Detroit and talked them into manufacturing some of the first plug-in hybrid vehicles to get this movement started says a lot about Austin and the credibility that we have in this space. I think the recognition that we receive nationally for the programs that we offer to assist our customers, to promote this innovation and technology, to be environmentally responsible, to truly be environmental stewards. And if it goes to the renewable front and what we're doing with renewable energy, to electric vehicles and electrifying the transportation space, it just says a lot about who we are, and it's really important for our community. I'm really proud of it.
Speaking of renewable energy, one of the things that strikes me as reasonably unique in the ecosystem is that historically the utility industry as a whole, and I am generalizing a little bit, but it's not entirely wrong, has had a bit of an ambivalent relationship with renewable energy and specifically residential solar and things that customers want to own themselves as opposed to utility grade. And yet it seems to me that Austin Energy has embraced all of these things and has sort of taken the approach of, we want all the solutions and we're not going to sort of shove any of them away, and we're going to help incentivize and let people get them, but also do our own thing. Is that fair? What is as a utility leader, how do you approach those sorts of things, whether or not you get to own them in the end?
So I think one of the things that's interesting is you have different types of utilities. You have investor-owned utilities. You have utilities like Austin Energy that are owned by our city, by our community, a municipally owned electric utility. And you have cooperatives, and they all played a role in this history. Next year, Austin Energy is going to be celebrating 125 years of serving our city and our community with reliable, safe, affordable electricity. And so it depends on what your business model is. And we have a community that's very engaged, and they demand things from us. They want choice. And we see, being a public power utility, that that's our responsibility to bring those things to fruition, to make that happen. And one of the things that you have to manage is your cost recovery. How do you pay for those things? For every expense that we have to have a revenue source that's going to help us to pay for that. And sometimes those complex models of cost recovery become the challenge. They make it difficult for other utilities or other businesses to enter into a new type of business model. Our construct, the community that we have that's so engaged, that really supports us in doing those sorts of things, is what makes it happen for us.
So Electric Drive is basically our vision and a shared space to show what the future mobility could potentially look like. So right now you're being shaded by a solar powered kiosk. We have solar power running above us. We have storage in here. And that storage is running to a repurposed 50s era fuel pump that you can now plug bikes and scooters into. In addition to this lovely little space here to hang out and enjoy a coffee, the coffee shop next door, you could be fueling up your electric vehicle on that DC fast charging station over there, or a level 2 station if you have a little more time to spend. We have bike share, we have car share, all in kind of one celebration, open, touch and feel, and nothing here is fake or demo. It's all real world. It's deployed in a way for
that. Who killed the electric car? Where can I watch this? I have to buy the DVD. Wonderful. All right. You know, I think after I do this paragraph, and I can add, already got that. I don't think I need to. I don't know if I have to mention these guys. We'll see if I mention them in the final paragraph. I don't know if I'll do this either, but I'll have that. I'll expand that. This will have words in here like that, but this will go away because stuff that I look at this. This is so stupid. On arrival to the weekend show, I did not know what to anticipate. Held at the Circuit of Americas, my open parking was jam-packed with Tesla vehicles. Or even higher parking. I saw people lined up at 2 separate lines of. I do want to mention. This is why I kept it, because I want to mention the Tesla shuttle. But that's. I can mention that somewhere else. Yeah. So once I have 1 paragraph, 2 paragraphs, I'll have a 3rd one for like closing it out. I think it'll be done. And obviously I'll have to go back and just kind of clean up all of this. But yeah, I think it's coming together. There'll be pictures in here. I don't know if I got a picture with Chelsea Sexton, but I can put that in here. Or like a link to our blog or something. And then I'll have pictures, or a picture here. I can throw a picture in there as well. Put pictures in here. And then that'll be it. So I'm going to call it there. Thank you for joining. I don't think I'm going to buy this DVD. Oh, you can get it on. I can rent it on Amazon Prime Video. Let's just watch the trailer real quick. Prices are so low right now.
In 1996, electric cars began to appear on roads all over California. They were quiet and fast, produced no exhaust, and ran without gasoline. 10 years later, these futuristic cars were almost entirely gone. What happened? Why should we be haunted by the ghost of the electric car?
The exciting thing about this is the cost of operating the car is the same as if you were driving a typical gasoline car, but the gasoline only costs 60 cents a gallon.
I plug it in at night, and when I need to drive it, I unplug, drive it away.
Believe it or not, that sucker goes. That thing will take you so fast you could get a ticket.
Wow, I didn't know this existed. How come I don't know about this? Have you seen this on TV?
People who control the marketplace today, the oil companies, have a strong incentive to discourage alternatives.
They make too much money with their technological stagnation and the internal combustion engine.
For the last 15 years, they've been telling us the fuel cells are 10 to 15 years old.
There's still roughly 1 trillion barrels worth of oil in the Earth's crust. That's $100 trillion worth of business yet to be done.
General Motors made a commitment to the Hummer because they could see the Hummer would make them money.
The electric vehicle is not for everybody. It can only meet the needs of 90% of the population.
We're up against the automobile industry, the oil industry. It's David versus Goliath.
Who killed the electric car? Lack of corporate wisdom.
In my opinion, it's big oil. The murder was committed by the General Motors company.
What's interesting, you're going to be shredding some new cars. Why are you shredding them up?
A little bit of a mystery, really.
That seems like a shame.
I think it will go down as one of the biggest blunders in the history of the automotive industry.
I may watch it later this afternoon. All right, but I'm calling it there. You guys have a good day. I'll be back on tomorrow. See ya. Bye.